someone wants to get into content creation, right?
Yeah.
How should they start on YouTube at least?
Oh, wow.
You would say
Oh, my God. Where do I
thumbnails,
Oh, boy.
content. How should they start?
I would suggest because, boy, so the first mistake I think that most new content creators make is they get a little too ambitious at the start. We all want 1 million subscribers. We all want views, blah, 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 blah. But I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of fledgling, beginning content creators make is that they do too much too soon. They're like, all right, I'm going to go live 5 days a week and da-da-da-da. Now, if you can do that, that's fine. But if there's any doubt as to how much you can do and how long, I would suggest start off doing it once a week. Do that for a month, and then after a month, maybe do it twice. Like, let's say for month 1, you do it every Monday. Then month 2, you do it every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Month 3, maybe you do Monday through Friday. But the point is that you have to start slow. And I would suggest that you record like up to 10 videos of whatever your content is. That way you have like a backlog, right? So, because I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably experienced this to some degree. You know, a lot of content creators hit the wall very, very early. And the reason why they hit the wall is because they get out and they're going full throttle and they get burned out, and then they're here today, gone tomorrow. But I think as long as you pace yourself, as long as you know what you're doing and you pace yourself, I think you're all right.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
So in this case, for example, let's say I'm going to start today for YouTube for, let's say, I want to be a creator for dating, right?
Okay.
Let's say our lane.
Okay. Yeah.
Should I start with dating, showing receipts? Or should I start with actually like giving information and data on dating itself?
Information and data first. You really have to show that you know what you're talking about. Because one thing about the audience here is they're not stupid, right? We've seen a lot of guys come into the manosphere calling themselves Red Pill and I'm a dating expert, dating guru. Like, our guys, like, I think we have one of the most educated audiences on the internet. I think it's not easy to be in this space for sure, but if you don't know what you're talking about, you will get flushed out very, very quickly. And it's interesting. I would actually submit to you guys that the audience maybe 5 years ago collectively probably knows a lot less than the audience now, because there's a lot more information out there. Anytime someone tunes into your show, my show, for the first time, they're a lot more educated. Like, they know a lot more than they used to. And so if you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't, and I guess receipts would be a good way to start, but anybody can make up receipts, right? I mean, if being a dating expert just required receipts, then everybody would do it. No, you have to be able to explain things in a way that people can understand. And in content creation, you have to be educational and you have to be entertaining. If you're educational, you're not going to get anywhere. If you're entertaining, you'll certainly get somewhere. But if you're entertaining and educational, I think that's the mix, and that's what you guys do.
It's a good
Appreciate
point.
that, man. Yeah, no, it's especially nowadays where you're gonna, like, streaming is a new thing now where, like, being a moron will get you way more views than being, educational, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you look at, like, the top streamers, every single one of them is kind of more on the entertainment side versus the education side. So, especially if you want a younger audience, right? You're going to have to be, you look at people that watch, like, Kai Cenat, FaZe, or any of this other stuff. It's a lot of that moronic,
hijinks,
self-degradation, self-deprecating content, right? It's not really educational to any degree, but if you want to bring in the people, you have to do that. So it's kind of like where you have to kind of almost have a blend of, like, the Jerry Springer ridiculousness, but at the same time, you have to be able to teach people stuff, because what I've noticed is that people really fuck with you when you help them, like, change their life. It's one thing if you're entertaining, but it's nothing if you keep them from making a really bad decision, or you help them make some money or whatever, then they really stay loyal and say, damn, like, these guys helped me out with that. But you got to get the eyeballs in, because there's a lot of people out there that are really smart and good at what they do.
Sure.
But they're boring, and people don't want to watch them.
Right.
That's the thing.
I mean, you could be an adjunct professor, you could be a rocket scientist. If you can't be entertaining while you educate, you will not make it in this business. It's just like you said, you could know everything from A to Z, you can know how to explain, you can know how to teach, but if you don't have that entertainment element, then you're not going anywhere. And I agree with you. I think today's audience, their attention span is like this. If you can't capture the audience just like that, like right at the beginning, I don't think you have much of a chance. But I mean, listen, some people have broken through, but I know this is true. There's no such thing as a boring, successful content creator.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then shadow bans as well, man. That's another thing too. I've noticed is, like, obviously the other thing you got to deal with is, like, fucking mass censorship.
Oh yeah.
which obviously you're dealing with that now,
Oh, yeah,
right?
I've dealt with it for years.
Yeah, like with as far as like, how would you say people should combat dealing with the censorship?
Rumble. That's it. Rumble. And it's interesting, like my YouTube rep, every time I've asked my YouTube rep this, hey, what's going on? Well, there's no such thing as shadow banning, and
that's a lie.
Right, of course it's a lie, and he'll give me all of these reasons. Well, YouTube is purging old subscribers and this and that and a third. I have accepted the reality, and so if they want to combat shadow banning, you got to go to a platform that's not going to shadow ban you. So, and Rich Cooper says this all the time. YouTube is the best. It's the best place to grow the quickest. It's the best place to grow the furthest, the quickest. And when you get to a certain point. The shadow banning is going to come, especially if you tell the truth. You guys know how it goes.
Yep.
I can come on. I mean, we got bitches who have YouTube channels with 1 million subscribers. Niggas ain't shit. But as soon as you talk about unflattering truths about women, that's when the shadow ban comes. There are a lot of channels that should be, I guess, quote unquote, shadow banned, but again, if you tell the truth about women, that's normally when it comes. But by the same token, if you don't tell the truth about women, then you're not going to get anywhere. So it's a delicate balance. I don't know. Maybe if somebody knows Mr. YouTube or something like that, I think that's probably the cheat code. But I would advise guys that you have to. And I think another element is this. You got to love what you do, man. You got to love what you do. And I remember a long time ago, I forgot who said this, but there are a lot of guys, like men, we tend to be entrepreneurial, right? And I had a guy in my group say, hey, Donovan, you know what? I'm thinking about starting a business. Where should I start? I said, that's the mistake right there. You don't sit down, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. What business should I start? No, if you are passionate about food, if you love to cook, if you love to make people happy, the natural path is to open a restaurant. If you love the law, if you love legal crime, whatever the case may be, then you talk about it. And so you have to love what you do, because hard times are gonna come. And the difference between people who love what they do and people who don't is your response to adversity. I lose subscribers every day, but I genuinely love what I do. I actually had a consultation client on Sunday. I was on with him for about an hour, and right at the end, the guy literally cried. He literally cried. Says, Donovan, look, man, you changed my life. He said he was recently divorced. And he went through it with his ex-wife, and he said, man, I thought I was worthless. And this guy's a multimillionaire. He says, when I got divorced from my wife, I thought it was over, and, I thought I was worthless, but, you put me on that path. That's why I do what I do, is for comments like that. So if you want to get into the dating and relationship sphere, the manosphere, so to speak, you have to love it, because if you don't, you'll get sussed out very quickly.
Yeah, and I do think that content, I mean, we kind of knew this was coming, that they would start shadow banning, suppressing content like that, because we've definitely dealt with the shadow banning and the restriction. We used to be all over the place, and now they're definitely not recommending us as much.
No, of course not.
For obvious reasons. So I do think that they're clamping down on the pro-masculine content, etc., on YouTube especially.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it is, right? Andrew Tate had that meteoric rise. He blew up, and then they said, whoa, we got to reel this back in. And then they started banning all of his stuff all over the place, because the truth, a lot of the times, is, considered hateful or misogynistic or whatever they want to call. And they're like, no, this is not what we're going to do. And they always pull it back, and that's what happens, unfortunately. But, but at the same time, lying isn't going to help you either, right? No. You could go ahead and take the Matthew Hussey, Derek Jackson approach and lie. And yes, you'll get a more mainstream audience, but who are you going to get? You're going to get women as your customer base. And I don't think, if you want to make a lot of money, that could be the way to go, but no one's going to take you seriously either. Or a scandal will